Some of the pools have now shrunk to a critical level, and the fish are in serious trouble. This is what the marabou storks have been waiting for. Thousands of catfish are stirring in the mud. There are so many the marabous don't know where to start. In the deeper water, the yellow-billed stork searches by touch, beak poised to snap onto its prey. But catfish don't succumb easily. They're equipped with very effective defences. When seized, they erect needle-sharp fins which stick out sideways and make them difficult, if not dangerous, to swallow. The birds learn to crush the spines or stun the fish before consuming their catch. A saddle-billed stork joins the banquet. The males are the most colourful of the family. Marabous are the vultures of the stork world. They often turn up at carcasses, and they're very competitive. A gathering like this can fish out a pond in days, and then the birds move on to another one. As the dry season progresses, Mana's resident bull elephants spend most of their time by the Zambezi. Their food in the acacia woodlands is becoming scarce, but the river banks and islands in the middle of the river are still fairly green. These great tuskers are big enough to wade across the channels without fear of being attacked by crocodiles. They'll spend hours at a time grazing with the sun beating down on their backs. And when they get too hot, they can join the hippos to cool off. When the bulls return to the acacia woodlands, their regular route takes them close to a colony of carmine bee-eaters. They are one of Africa's most vivid birds. They turn up to breed on the banks of the Zambezi during the hottest and driest months of the year. The cliffs carved out by the flowing water are ideal for them. Overlooking the river, the colonies are fairly safe, and the 2-metre-long nesting burrows are easy to excavate in the sandy soil. Carmine bee-eaters feed by hawking damsel and dragonflies over the river and catching insects around the animals that come to graze and drink. Fierce evaporation is daily reducing the size of Mana's inland pools. For many of the residents, including baboons, which have relatively restricted territories, the Zambezi is too far away to walk, so they rely upon their local watering hole for as long as possible to to slake their thirst. The marabous have fished out most of the pools. This one has little to offer. Perhaps the last catfish. The lone bull hippo is doomed. The tepid water now hardly covers his skin. If the conditions become intolerable, the marabous at least can fly away, whereas the baboons have no option but to remain in Mana. Impala become very stressed during the dry season. These antelope need good grazing as well as water to keep them in good health. Lions always seem uncomfortable in the heat. By midday, the lioness is so parched that she's forced to brave the sun to look for water. The young male still trails her. They're both looking rather emaciated and are clearly finding life a struggle. In the absence of the migratory herds, their prey is somewhat thin on the ground. Now their priority is to get out of the sun and retire to the coolest patch of shade close to the waterhole. The smallest pools have either completely dried up or are reduced to patches of glutinous mud. This one still contains just enough liquid to attract a few African wild dogs. Mana Pools is one of the last refuges in Zimbabwe for this beleaguered species. In the Zambezi Valley there are several packs which have enough space to breed and hunt without human interference. These belong to a pack of 22, and they'll all join up to hunt at sunset, when Mana cools down. Towards the end of the dry season, Mana is at its emptiest. But the situation is about to change. After 6 months, the migratory herds returned. Way inland, there's still food, but the water holes are now dry. So, with nothing to drink, the animals must come back to Mana. After a long absence, the elephant families are back once again.